All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And we are going to get started. All right, so today's webinar is how to yell less and smile more during the holidays by me, Melissa Schultz. So I'm super happy that you guys have been able to join, and I look forward to our next hour together. All right, a quick introduction about me for those of you that don't know me. My name's Melissa. I have 3 kids. They are 10, 8, and 2.5. Professionally, my background, I have a master's degree in counseling. I'm a board certified behavior analyst. No one knows what that means. That's okay. Basically, it is, I'm board certified in the science of human behavior and how to change human behavior. And I have used that to work for the last 20 years with kids and their families, where the kids have very severe behavior disorders. So that's my background. I've worked in homes, I've worked in group homes, residential facilities, I've worked in schools, and I'm the one that people call when there's kids doing like all the big crazy behaviors. So anything that's happening for you guys at home, I guarantee you there are no surprises for me. I've seen everything, no judgment here. I've seen all the things, and I now work as a parenting coach. So I help all parents, all families know exactly how to manage the challenging behaviors that their kids have. Sometimes my clients have kids that maybe have a diagnosis, but sometimes not. Maybe their kids just strong-willed or deeply feeling, or just there's like a mismatch kind of between what the parent's trying and what the kid needs, and that's where I come in. So that's what I get to do. And of course, since I have this wonderful education and experience, my 3 kids always behave perfectly, right? No, definitely not. My kids are humans also, so they still have all the behavior challenges that kids have. Actually, 2 of my kids are pretty high needs, so we also have lots of behavior challenges in our own home. So I get to do this professionally and also like live this journey that a lot of my clients also live, where we are really trying to find the best ways to respond to our kids' behavior. And thankfully, of course, my background helps out a whole bunch, and that's why I'm really passionate about helping other moms do the same thing. All right, so before we get started, I want to, again, just thank you for being here. Thank you for dedicating this next hour and investing in yourself and your parenting and your family. And so this is just kind of a reminder to do your best to just be present during this time. So if you can, maybe don't multitask. Try to just focus, try to soak all of this up, try to see there's a reason that you're here for this webinar today. And so try to listen for what that reason is and that what you want to take away and what you needed to hear from this webinar today. So I know it's so tempting to maybe start doing other things and multitask and text and whatever, but I'm going to do my best to be entertaining so you're not too bored. And yeah, just really use this hour to invest in yourself and in your parenting. So with that being said, I'm going to start with the 3 holiday mistakes that we all make. And you can tell in this picture, Asher is very upset because he doesn't want you to make these holiday mistakes, right? And yeah, I just think the crying Santa pictures are so funny. So I have a collection of them. This is from last year, and it's so cute. Okay, so 3 holiday mistakes that you are probably making, and we're going to talk about how to not make them. But first, let's talk about them. So mistake number 1 is you have unrealistic expectations. And I didn't say this earlier, but while I'm talking, I'm going to have time at the end for questions. So any questions you have during this presentation, please put it in the Q&A. You should see on the bottom panel a Q&A button. Press that, type in all your questions. I save time at the end to answer any and all questions that you have. So as you think of them, just throw them in the box and I'll go through them at the end. But while I'm talking, if you could give me some reactions, that helps me. I'm used to talking to live people, so the webinar format feels a little bit like I'm talking to myself. So if I say something that you like, you can give me a heart or a thumbs up. Or if you have ever made any of these mistakes, please give me a thumbs up. And you can do that by, there's the reactions on the bottom. You click that, and then you can click the little thumbs up or different things. But that would just be a favor to me to help me know that people are there and I'm not talking to myself. So mistake number 1 that so many parents make is we have unrealistic expectations. of everyone and everything. So there are a lot of pressure during the holiday time to kind of have like these Pinterest perfect holidays where your house is perfectly decorated, your kids all, have matching Christmas finery or the matching Christmas PJs, and you have all of these beautiful pictures and everything looks perfect, right? And so then we expect that, right? We see all the pictures on social media and we expect that our holiday season should match up with that. And then we feel like we have failed or we're not a good parent if it does not match. If you've ever done this, give me a reaction, let me know. We also have this expectation that we have to create all these perfect memories for our kids so that everything needs to be perfect, and that if something goes wrong, somehow we're letting our kids down or that we have failed. So then there's so much pressure we put on ourselves to have everything be perfect. We think that every activity we sign up for will be fun. We think that we will really enjoy every single thing that we do and every single thing that we bring our kids to. And then there's pressure on everything to be fun. We think that our kids will be well behaved and happy for the whole holiday season, even though most of the year they're not always well behaved and not always happy. But we have this expectation that they will be on these, big important dates or big important events. We have the expectation sometimes that there will be no family drama, that we will go to family events. And even though last Christmas or last Thanksgiving or last Hanukkah was, very dramatic with family, that somehow this year it will be different and it will be calm. And then we're really surprised and upset when we again have lots of family drama at that event. We also just think that we can do all the things. Throughout the year, most parents carry, their plate is full, right? They are doing so much. They feel like they're stretched and overwhelmed. And then comes the holiday season. And then we add all these extra tasks onto our schedules, onto ourselves. And then, but we leave everything else on our plate and then think we should be able to do all these extra things, even though it's even more than we usually do for most of the year. And so we just expect ourselves to be able to somehow take on all these extra tasks without removing any tasks or without taking anything off. So we tend to have unrealistic expectations of ourselves, what we can do, of creating all these social media perfect picture things, and also of our kids. We have unrealistic expectations of what our kids will do during this time. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two that you are probably making is you overcommit. So as humans, we have two resources we all have these and they are limited. And that's time and money. And these are some of our most important resources that are limited. And we tend to overcommit and overextend ourselves on both of them, which, it's not going to end well. So with our time, we usually sign up for all the extra holiday activities, right? If you have older kids, every single extracurricular activity they're in has a holiday party, and then the school has activities, and you might have work activities, or your hobbies might have activities. And so everyone has a party or a get together and you sign up for all of them. And then you're taking on all the extra tasks. So you're gift shopping and wrapping and trying to send out cards and trying to decorate and trying to get a tree and trying to see all the people and, make it meaningful and do all your traditions. And you're trying to cram all that onto your already pretty busy schedule. And then what happens is our kids then get overscheduled, overstimulated, and overtired. And that is, a recipe for disaster, basically, with kids, right? So with our time, we just add all of the holiday things to our plate without taking anything off of it. And we just think that we should be able to do it all because we have unrealistic expectations of ourselves. The other area that we overcommit or overextend ourselves is with our money. So this is it can be an expensive time of year where we're buying gifts for everyone. We're going to all these parties and needing to bring gifts or food. We pay for tickets to all these activities of all of our holiday traditions. And then there's lots of great causes that want donations this time of year. So we want to help and support the schools and all the other things. And then by the end, we have spent more money than we have. We're in debt, we're stressed out. And we just don't really know where our money or time has gone, but it feels like it's not enough. And so making mistake number two, overcommitting, again, is going to leave you feeling terrible and not really able to enjoy all the things you are doing with your time or all the things that you bought with your money. And then the third mistake is, as parents, we ignore all of our own needs often. So often, to accommodate all this extra stuff we added to our plate, we just don't sleep. We're like, that's fine. I can just wrap gifts all night. No problem. And our body like has real physical needs to be able to be a good version of ourselves. And we tend to take care of ourselves last. So we don't sleep. We end up eating like our kids' leftovers or just like a bunch of holiday cookies that we, at work or late at night because we're not making time to eat or take care or fuel our body well. And then also like December is a big time for illness. This is like flu season now, like it's COVID season. And so it's like a normal time for people to get sick, but we're so overscheduled and we already paid for all these tickets that even if we're sick, we have unrealistic expectations of ourselves and we still want to do all the things and go to all the places and we don't let ourselves like recover. And so we don't take good care of our bodies during this time. And we also ignore a lot of our emotional needs. So often, again, to make room for all this extra stuff we've added to our plate, we drop our self-care. If we did have a self-care routine, it's gone. We don't prioritize that. We put that to the side. And then we often this time of year is a time of like feeling a lot of grief or maybe loneliness or disappointment. And we don't make space for any of that. We're like, nope, it's holidays. I have to be happy the whole time. If I'm not happy the whole time, something's wrong. Where actually the holidays just really intensify whatever we're feeling. And often this is a holiday where we're missing someone. Maybe someone has passed. It's our first holiday without them. Maybe we can't be with our family and we're feeling really lonely, or we're seeing people get to be with their families and that's not available to us. Maybe we're disappointed that we can't have the holiday season or that we did get sick and had to miss that thing. And we don't make space for any of those emotions. We just kind of put all of that to the side and keep going. And I mean, if you guys have not seen already, the truth about emotions is if they are in your body, they're there and you can try to stuff them down and ignore them, but then they're just going to like explode out of your ears like someday, and usually not in a super helpful or healthy way. So ignoring our emotional needs and physical needs does not end well, and it does not help you be the kind of parent that you want to be. All right, so when we make those three mistakes, basically what ends up happening is we just are running on low or no battery, right? We're not sleeping, we're not eating, we are ignoring and stuffing all of our emotions, and then we're trying to do all of this extra stuff, and we're just running on empty. And so if you are trying to then live a overscheduled life when your battery is on 1%, you end up behaving in ways and feeling things strongly that is not aligned with kind of the holiday that maybe that you want. So you're going to be more likely to yell at people because you're exhausted and you're overwhelmed and you're stressed out. We feel a lot of shame sometimes because we have those unrealistic, impossible expectations, and then we don't meet them. And then we end up in like the shame spiral of feeling like we're not enough because we couldn't do something that was impossible to begin with. So we feel lots of shame. Or we feel so anxious and overwhelmed about making sure all the things are happening and what if this happens, and the anxiety kind of takes over. And so when you are stuck in any or all of these emotions, it's really going to impact the way that you show up for your family and the way that you are taking care of your kids during this time. And you are going to be so much more likely to be short with your kids, have less patience for your kids because you are running on 1%. Like you're doing your best, but you only have 1%. And so we need to get your battery charged so you can be a more present, more joyful parent during this time. So chaotic holidays are a choice. Now, life with kids is going to have a lot of chaos. I have a big sign in my house that says beautiful chaos, and we, live that every day. But if you go into every holiday season and you're just like, it's just going to be crazy, it's going to be chaotic, like, just know that you're choosing that. Anything in our lives that we're not changing, we are choosing. So if you find every holiday season is just so chaotic and stressful and unpleasant, that's something it's a choice that you're making. And that's actually great news because you can make a different choice if you don't like that result. So if you no longer want to have chaotic holidays, that's something that is in your power to change. It's not something that's like, out there in the universe that you have to have a chaotic holiday every year. You can choose a different type of holiday. And let's talk about how you can do that. So here are my 7 ways to yell less and smile more during the holidays. And again, at the bottom, you have the Q&A box. And so if you have any additional questions on one of these topics or something else you want me to expand on, please put that in the Q&A as we go. I'm going to be going through those at the end of the webinar. So I'll answer all your questions, but if there's any questions that come up for you, anything you want me to expand on that I didn't cover, throw that in the Q&A box as I'm talking, as you think about it, and then I will come back to that at the end. So here's my 7 ways to yell less and smile more during the holidays. So number 1 is to set your family priorities in advance. So this means being really intentional with how you schedule yourself and the commitments that you choose to make. So I like to say, like, it's either a hell yes or it's a no, right? There's a lot of like good things that sound fun, but they're not like, yes, I'm so excited about it. It's like, yeah, that's fine. And then we do so many that's fine activities. And then when something comes up that is really important to us, we're so tired, or we're already booked or scheduled. And so just in life, there are just so many good things that it can be overwhelming. And you want to say no to as many good things as you can so that you have space for the great things, for those hell yes, I'm there, those kind of things. And so I like to maybe try to even have, if your kids can participate, have them make a holiday bucket list. Like, what are the most important things that you guys want to do, and have them each pick one thing. And then make sure you just do one thing on everyone's list. Everyone's like, hell yes, I want to do this. And then that's your schedule. And then everything else is going to be like a pass, right? When you're thinking of those activities, prioritize quality family time. Sometimes we really focus on like quantity, like we're doing everything together for the whole month. But then everyone's so exhausted and overscheduled and stressed out that like there's not any interaction. So try to think about how you can pick things that will really give you like quality time together, and just make space for having high quality, less activities versus high quantity, low quality family activities. Something that a lot of people find meaningful is creating a word for the holiday season. So people might pick something like calm or joy or, rest or family or friends or whatever that word is. If you can narrow down kind of a word that you want this year to be about, this holiday season to be about, then when you start getting invitations or asks to go to things or do things, you run it by that word, right? Maybe if your word is joy, it'd be like, hey, would this activity bring me a lot of joy? If the answer is no, that helps you know this is a no. It's not a hell yes, right? If your word is rest, you're going to be like, hey, is this going to be restful? Am I going to still have a restful holiday if I say yes to this? And then that should help you know if it's a hell yes or a no kind of activity. It's also really helpful to be kind of proactive about what you're committing to. Sometimes things just, we get different invitations throughout the whole month. And if you know in advance, like let's say it's really important to you to help out at your kids' Christmas party in their school. Okay, let's say that is on your list of like, hell yes, I want to be there. Like, at least I've noticed in my experience, teachers don't usually ask for that until maybe the week before. And so if you are not being intentional about that hell yes, and then you book up your whole month, and maybe you like take time off for other activities that you don't care about as much, or you just like say yes to all the other things, and then the invitation comes to help out in your kids' class, and now you can't because you already took the time off, or you already booked that time doing something else, or you're just so busy that week that you don't have any energy to be able to go and enjoy that thing. That's how we become really burned out, because what we are doing is not in line with our values and what really matters. So like, think ahead of time, what did I love last holiday season? What were the activities we did that were the most meaningful, that brought us the most joy, that were the most quality family time? And then make that list and then save space for those, right? So if maybe even reach out to that teacher, like, hey, I know I'm early, but what day-ish is your holiday party? Because I want to make sure I can make that. Or you just schedule lighter that week so you have time and energy to do that one most important thing. Other things that we usually I've found that parents don't factor in and are always like, well, I have, all of a sudden I don't have time to pack. Like, we often travel over the holidays and we don't save any time to pack. So then we just stay up all night packing. just to get on a plane the next day. And then we're like exhausted, like on a plane with young kids, which is a terrible idea, right? That's not going to go well. So like factor in all the extra time commitments that go along with traveling. The other thing we do is we try to maximize our quality time. So we fly back, on the red eye, and then we try to get everyone to school and work the next day. And there's no recovery time. There's no break time. Like there's no groceries for breakfast. Everyone's wearing dirty clothes to school. Everyone's exhausted and grumpy. And then you're maybe trying to work or take care of the kids when you are exhausted because you were traveling all night. And so that's not setting anyone up for success or like joy during the holidays. It's not going to be quality time during that traveling or the next day when everyone is like thrown back into their routine with no recovery time. So plan, when are we going to pack for this? When are we going to have time to recover? You don't want to overschedule yourself so much. If you do work, like think about if you need time off work so that you can make some of these events, and then how you're going to save that. Or if you are home or do work, like are you going to need some childcare? Like maybe, especially, schools are out, kids are out. Sometimes we get to the last minute to realize, oh, I don't have anyone to watch my kids for the next 2 weeks. So start now and be proactive about that to take the stress off you later. And then just in general, when we're talking about family priorities, I just want you to be saying no a lot more than you say yes. We're saying no to good things so we have space for the great things. And there are a lot of reasons why we say yes to more than we should. So for me, I'm just kind of like an extrovert and like everything sounds really fun. So I really do want to do kind of everything, but then have learned the overscheduling makes it not fun. So it's not worth it to me. But sometimes we say yes to things for other reasons. Maybe we say yes because we feel like we have to, that's what a good parent will do. Or we don't know how to say no, or we feel like people pleasing, we have to, say yes to this one person or this family member, or we feel pressure from our partner to say yes to all these things. And so I'm going to give you some permission slips to do things during this webinar. And so this is your first permission slip. All right. These like you can say no to anything that's not a hell yes during the holidays. Okay, here is the permission slip. Take it. And I have 8 scripts for you about ways to say no during the holidays. I will be emailing these out to my email list, and I'll be posting them on Confidently Mommin's social media if you want to save these and use them, and you should, because they're great. But here are just 8 ways that you can say no to things during the holidays. Just because you're asked does not mean you have to say yes. The first one, how exciting. Thanks for thinking of me. Honestly, my schedule's already so full that I'm trying to cut things out and not add anything new. I hope you have a lot of fun. The next one is, oh, that sounds wonderful. Unfortunately, that falls on family night, so I won't be able to join you. Maybe I can come next time. That sounds like so much fun, but during the holidays, I'm always exhausted. So I know I'll be too tired to really enjoy it, but have a great time. That sounds great, but I'm running on empty lately, and the thought of adding anything else to my schedule seems overwhelming, but thanks for thinking of me. What a great idea. I'd normally love to go to something like that, but I'm already overcommitted. Maybe I can come next time. That sounds like a blast. My family and I are just setting our budgeting priorities for the month, and we won't be able to fit this in too. Thanks anyway. Oh, I love that idea. Unfortunately, my family's budget is maxed out for the moment, so we won't be able to make it. But thanks for thinking of us. I'd love to help, but I'm not sure about our family's plans right now. I'd hate to make a commitment and not follow through, but I'll keep you updated if things change. So those are 8 scripts that you can say to say no to things. Now that you have permission to say no to things that you don't really, really want to do and aren't aligned with your priorities for the holiday season, but also just know that no is a complete sentence. So you don't have to like phrase it and give a reason. You can just say no, and that's totally fine too. Those phrases are more like if you're not comfortable saying no and that seems impossible for you, I'm gonna we'll baby step you over by using some of those phrases. And then if there are people in your life that would read that and be really upset and angry, then they're allowed to feel like that. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong, and that maybe just is not the most healthy relationship anyway. And it's like a bigger problem than just saying yes or no to an activity. You want to make sure your time lines up with your values and priorities for your family, not just like external pressure from other people. And no is the complete sentence. All right, so number two, the first one kind of dealt with how we overcommit on our time, and this is how we overcommit on our money. A way to help this is to create a holiday budget. Okay, I'm a big fan of budgeting. I love budgeting. I'm kind of the budget nerd in my family, and we were in a lot of debt a while ago. It's been a while. Tons of debt. And so if that is your situation, I have been there and I see you. We loved like Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover and his like online course, and that helped us a ton. One thing that he talks about that I've like think about a lot still is like basically, you write down how much money you have, and then you make a list of everything that you want to spend it on in order. All right, so this can be all your bills and everything. And then you put it in priority order, right? All the things that you want to get, everything's in line, but in aligned with your priorities and your values. And then you put all the numbers in and subtract. And then when you run out of money, you draw a line. Like everything above it, we can afford, and everything below it, even though it's good, we can't afford it. It's below the line. And we're going to have to say no to those things, but we're saying yes to our biggest priorities. And I love this analogy both for money and time, because I think about this with my time too. Like it's another good thing, but it's below the line and I'm going to have to say, no, I don't have enough energy or time to commit to that, or I don't have enough money for that. And that's okay. And so when you're working on your holiday budget, I make a gift. That's a big expense for us during this time is gifts. So we make that list of everyone you want to buy gifts for and how much you want to spend on gifts. And then based on that, how much you want to spend on each person. And then if you are trying to save a little bit, kids are great for making stuff, right? Everyone's excited about a present from a kid. You can have them make your cards, make gifts, make baked goods. We try to do like annual family pictures, and those are great to just like frame a professional picture or like put it on a mug. And that's like a cheaper, but very meaningful gift. Other things that we usually remember that we have to buy presents, but we forget a lot of these other expenses over the holidays. And this might be where we overextend. Food. Grocery budgets are usually a lot higher during the holidays, right? We are, going to a lot of potluck type events. And so we have to bring food everywhere we go. Maybe we are hosting people, so we're feeding more people than we normally feed. Maybe we want to do like more baking projects, cooking projects. And so that's going to require, a little bit more grocery spend. So make sure you're factoring that into your budget. And then all the fun events that we want to go to, many of them cost money. And so part of deciding what you want to commit to would be like, how much money do we have to pay for tickets to things, right? There's so many fun Christmas things, but you could spend everything you have on just Christmas events, right? So what are the ones that are most important, and maybe how your budget can factor into deciding which ones you're going to commit to. Travel is another one. Sometimes we like think of the plane tickets or like the car, but we forget maybe like a higher gas budget. We forget that we might be spending more on like snacks in the airport or whatever, and just different last minute travel things that we might need for the trip. So make sure you include that in your budget. Again, the classroom and activity and parties, usually that's like more last minute, and they'll want you to sign up to bring different like grocery items or things for their party. So if you want to, then you want to make sure you have space for that on your budget. And just in general, like having a meaningful holiday season for your kids is not going to be about how much you spend. They don't need that many gifts. They don't need to do all the activities. A huge gift that you can give for them is like just teaching them to be thankful for everything that they do have, and to show them, model for them like responsible spending, like give them that gift of like, hey, this is how much we have, and we do have a budget, and money is not infinite, and we're going to make choices based on our budget, and we're going to be really grateful for the choices that we make. That's such a huge thing that you can model for your kids during this time, especially when our culture goes a little bit crazy with the like buy, spend kind of message that is really unhealthy. All right. Again, if you have any questions or want me to talk more about any of this, throw that in the Q&A for the end. But number 3 is be proactive about potential tricky spots. Okay. And so to do this one, I might start with going through your Thanksgiving, going through last year's holiday, and think about some of the problem areas. What were the main sources of stress during those times? And then let's solve for them in advance this time, okay? So often there might be a friend or a family member that is troublesome. Maybe there is, someone in your family that is really critical and judgmental of your parenting. And if your child does anything, this person makes comments and that's really triggering for you, right? That's probably going to happen again if you're with that person. Or maybe you have, at a gathering, you're with this other parent and they maybe don't supervise their kids like you would. And that causes their kids or your kids to maybe get hurt or in trouble. Like that might be something that you want to take care of and talk about before just entering that situation again, if that situation is causing you a lot of stress. Maybe you have someone in your family that is really struggling with addiction or alcoholism, and that comes out at all these family events. You don't want to just keep showing up and just thinking it's going to change. You want to take charge and control what you can in those situations. So often that does involve setting like healthy limits with those individuals and having like those challenging, crucial conversations in advance. So that might be pulling aside a family member and saying, hey, like, I know maybe you don't agree with how I'm parenting, but this is what I'm doing. And it's really not okay for you to make comments in front of everyone. And that's so uncomfortable. And I know, but you are going to be able to have a much more like loving conversation with them one-on-one versus like caught off guard in the moment with maybe a big group of people looking at you and your kid right there, right? You're not going to come up with the best response in that moment. And so figure out what those tricky spots are and try to, as much as you can, just set healthy boundaries and limits beforehand. So then at least you've thought it through and you have a plan and you've done your best to maybe work that out with that person. So when the day comes, you know what you're going to do. Whatever they do, you already kind of have a plan of how you are going to respond, and you're happy with that plan because you know that is a healthy way to handle a challenging situation. Another common one is sometimes we just like think our kids are going to be like not like we just think they're going to behave well at these events, and often, they're not sleeping, they skip naps, they've had tons of sugar, maybe they're running around with other kids and they're overstimulated, and expect your kid to have challenging behaviors, maybe less than normal, but maybe more than normal. And both ways is like, just, that's okay. What you want to know is kind of your plan. So sometimes when our kids are misbehaving in public or in front of our family, we don't want, even if we have a good discipline plan at home that we feel really good about, we don't want to use that in front of other people, or we haven't thought it through. So like, for example, if you choose to use like timeout with your kids, sometimes families have a timeout system that's working really well at home, but then they get to like their parents' house and then they're like, oh, I don't know where's the timeout spot, and should I use timeout in front of people? And so that's just all things that you want to think about in advance, right? You don't want to make that decision in the moment when your kid has just hit someone and you're like, oh no, how do I respond? Take the time in advance, talk with your partner about it so you guys are on the same page and this is kind of what we're doing. Maybe you have a slightly different rules when you're in public or at other places. Maybe it's going to be the same. Make sure you have that thought through before you just show up. Another tricky spot often is like picky eating. So I have a picky eater in my house, and when we go other places, like often there's like nothing there that she wants to eat. And so you want to think through, if you have one of those in your life, I'm sorry, I understand. But you want to kind of have a plan for how you're going to handle that. So like we have a certain way we handle that at home. We have a different role when we're out in public to handle her picky eating. And we've thought about that and we feel great about it. And when it happens in public, we're just like, yeah, this is our in public plan, no problem. So again, any kind of troubling spots with your kids, you want to just have a plan in advance so you are ready to go the day of. Another thing is often with, when we go to places or go to people's houses, last minute, it's like, oh, how can I help? Or what can I bring? And then maybe like everyone else has already picked stuff and you're like the last person. And like, so for me personally, I don't cook, I don't bake, I don't enjoy those things. I really like to eat though. And so if I was like at the last to listen, like bring a main dish, I'd be like, oh, I would be so stressed, right? So what I like to do is I like to ask in advance, I'm like, where am I going this month? let me ask now what I can bring. And if there is ever a list, I'm going to pick the napkins, I'm going to pick the plates, I'm going to pick the Hawaiian bread. I'm going to try to get there first and pick the easier thing because someone's got to bring it. And I would like that person to be me. So if that is also you, here's your permission slip to do that, especially when you have young kids and it's just so much harder to make anything or get things. Like, pick the easy stuff, especially when you have younger kids. And then if there are things that you enjoy cooking or baking, like, pick those things, get there first, and then sign up for those things. So that way it's maybe like a joyful thing for you to prepare that versus like this terrible, stressful chore. And then also, yeah, note when the event is and how much time you have that week. And don't sign up to, do something where you have to stay up all night prepping, right? Maybe pick something that you can prep in advance if that's going to be a crazy week. So just think that through as far as your time and energy level during that week. And then another challenge that parents run into maybe after Christmas or after all the gifts is like, now your house was already probably pretty full and messy, and now there's like so much more crap to make space for, right? And so we want to avoid the clutter, because then your kids don't want to clean it up, and then you're fighting over cleaning, and it's like more stress. So I find this a great time of year, maybe before Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you're celebrating. I like to make space for new toys. My favorite is actually to do it during Thanksgiving break when you kind of have a little bit of time off. And my kids are more on board with it because I'm like, hey, Christmas is coming. We need space for all these new toys. So they're more likely to be helpful with, I don't really play with this anymore, or I've outgrown this, or I just banish them all and I go through and I find the things that they have outgrown. So it's just a good time to maybe make space for those new toys. So that way, when you do come home with all the new shiny things, you have a place to put them and space for them to live. All right, so that is number 3, being proactive about potential tricky spots, whatever those are for you. And again, put it in the Q&A if you have, when you're thinking about previous holidays and there's other tricky spots that I haven't mentioned on here, throw that in the Q&A and we can chat about it at the end. All right, the next one is you want to prepare your kids. So kids do so well with consistent routine, right? Routine for kids. And then the holidays, we like totally mess up their routine. Even though it's really fun stuff, it can still be hard for some kids. So you want your kids as much as possible to kind of know what's happening and know what to expect. So one way to do this is to use a family calendar, right? It could be like a visual calendar, maybe that you put up so that they can see with pictures or words, or maybe you're just telling them, this is our plan for the week. This is our plan for today. A lot of verbal reminders of the changes. So that way they're not just like surprised and thrown into new, out of their routine things. You want to make sure you have clear expectations for every event and get together that you're taking them to. So usually on the car there, I'm going to remind them the rules. I'm going to let them know, hey, this is going to be a little different here. Here is what I expect from you. Here's what's going to happen if you're not following that rule. And we talk about that on the car to everything that we go to. And one of the rules is always to have fun. But we kind of talk through maybe some potential tricky spots with my kids so they know what they're expected to do and what will happen when they don't do that, because of course they sometimes don't do what they're supposed to do. You also want to plan ahead if you're going to a home or an event that, if it's a house that doesn't have kids, right? Sometimes we'll show up and then there's like not a lot of activities or toys because the owner of the home doesn't have children. And so that can be a challenge. Or something that we live right now with a toddler is we show up at grandparents' houses, and grandparents have beautiful homes on these shelves with beautiful figurines that are all very, sentimental and very breakable. And that causes extra stress and tension when you have a toddler, because at our house, anything that he can reach, he's allowed to touch. We've created it that way for our own sanity. And so at our house, if he can reach it, he's pretty much allowed to touch it. And so we have to be very clear with the rules at other people's houses where that is not the case. You cannot touch everything just because you can reach it. And then during this time, as much as you can, you want to try to maintain their sleep routine. So do the fun things and say yes to those fun activities and stay up late sometimes. But as much as you can, if it's not one of those exceptions, try to stick to your regular routine. again, kids need that routine. And most kids, especially younger kids, just because they stay out late, they're not sleeping in, right? They're still getting up at the same time. And then they're missing more naps. And so they are going to go get into sleep debt. And again, kids that are tired are going to act out a lot more. So for everyone's sanity, try to keep the sleep schedule as much as you can, consistent. And then, of course, enjoy the fun exceptions to that rule. And then kind of the same with sugar. I have found that with all the fun activities, everywhere you go, they're giving my kids candy canes and everywhere is giving them candy. And that's like fine if it's once a month, but when it's like we're going somewhere every day, that can add up pretty quickly. And so just kind of monitor how much sugar your kids are having. And I'm like, yeah, have treats, have it be a special thing. But like we want it to be the exception to the rule, so it stays special. And so maybe we'll just notice, okay, we're going to skip the treats at this event because we're going, we're going to have hot chocolate later, or however you want to do it. Just kind of be aware of how much sugar your kids are having, because if they have lots of sugar, it's going to, again, impact their behavior some. It's going to make it harder to sleep and make it harder for you maybe to manage their hyper behaviors. And then things I just recommend bringing, this is just like my personal advice to you as parents, like whenever we go places, like I have a bag in the car that just has some fun like games and toys that I know my kids will enjoy and that they can maybe play with others. We keep it for like restaurants, but that can be fun to bring group games, especially if you are going to a home where the owner doesn't have kids. Just bring some of their favorite activities that they could maybe play with other kids there. Baby gates, I will show up with baby gates places if there's stairs or if I know there's a lot of breakables and I don't want to have to stand in front of it the whole time. First aid kits, just always bring them. And then I always bring extra clothes for everyone just because who knows what will happen. I bring snacks, especially if you have those picky eaters or just kids who might not want to eat in a bunch of unfamiliar, more traditional holiday food. If you have healthy snacks that you can be giving them, that is going to help them at least not be like hangry during the event. And then baby wipes, I love baby wipes. I have them all the time. So just always bring baby wipes everywhere. So those are some ways to help prepare your kids for the holiday season to make it more enjoyable for them and more enjoyable for you. Okay, number 5. So the holidays are for you too. It is not just about creating a perfect holiday for your kids or for your partner. It is supposed to be something that you are also able to enjoy. And so to be able to enjoy the holiday season, you have to have realistic expectations for yourselves. So if you do struggle with perfectionism, like this is your permission slip, right? To not be perfect. It does not have to be perfect. Perfect does not equal happier. Perfect does not equal better. Perfect is not possible. So here is your permission to not be perfect, not have to try to be perfect, right? Other ways that you can maybe enjoy your holiday more are just accept help. If people are offering to help you with something, say yes, okay? I always accept all the help. If you offer me help, mean it, because I'm going to take you up on it because I need help in my life. And if you're in a position where you don't have a supportive community of people offering you help, like maybe I hear a lot of people say, I don't live near family, so I don't have anyone to help. You cannot live near family and also have people to help. I don't live near family right now, and I have created a community of people where we're helping each other. And so you might not solve it right in the next couple of weeks, but keep that in mind. If you don't have people offering help, then how can we create that community for you so you have that support? I want you to eat well, take good care, fuel your body well, enjoy your sugar and your treats, but take care of your body. Eat at regular intervals, eat meals, eat food, and sleep. Don't sacrifice your sleep to get things done for other people. If you are exhausted, not taking care of your body, you won't be able to do those things well. So sleep. When you can, try to involve the kids, put them to work, have them wrap some presents for other people, and it won't look great, but it will be wrapped and done, and your kids will be happy and busy, right? What are things you can have them help with if we lower our perfection standards a little bit? And then, yeah, people are like, oh, how cute, the kid wrapped it, right? Like, yeah, it is cute. If you are struggling during the season with that comparison, you're always like, oh, but they did this or they did that, and I should be, if you're having a lot of shoulds, after you scroll through social media, it might be a great time to take a break from social media. There is not a lot of value in that scrolling if it's just making you compare and feel like not enough and like it's triggering for you. So take maybe fast from social media a little bit, or just have some screen-free time and unplug so that you can find joy in whatever's happening around you instead of always comparing with other people's best versions of their lives. And then just try to be present as much as you can, right? Like sometimes we have like done so much work to plan this event or this party or this activity, but then we're so stressed about the next thing that we don't even enjoy it. So try to be present in the things and then just create those moments of joy for yourself. Like what are the things that find joy, and make sure you are enjoying it in that moment and being present in that moment. One thing I strongly recommend everyone do, and I talk to my clients about this a lot, is having like a list of self-care activities that you do that bring you joy. So it can be like, big ones like getting a massage or going on a trip, right? Or like little ones like taking a bath, going for a walk, painting my own nails. Whatever it is, if you do it and it brings you joy, have a list, and your homework is every day to do one thing on that list. So if you have a little more time that day, do a bigger thing, right? If it's a quick day, then have it be one quick little thing. But I want you to do one thing every day that's on your list that brings you joy. And so you're making sure you are having some self-care built in to every day during this time. And every day always, but especially now. All right, number 6. So the holidays are not always joyful. And so I kind of mentioned at the beginning, like it is a time of year of heightened feelings. We talk about, joy, and it should be the happiest time of year. And it really just heightens whatever's happening for you. So like, again, this is like a permission slip for you. If you are not feeling super joyful and this is not the happiest time of year for you, that's okay. Okay, it's okay to feel however you're feeling during the season. Give yourself permission to feel however you're feeling, for your kids to feel however they're feeling, and really make space to kind of process all the feelings that might come up. And if you know this is going to be a tough holiday, then maybe make more space. Maybe schedule yourself even less so you have breaks and times to process. And yeah, set up like more supportive things for you to help you process the emotions that you're having during this time. I mean, life is 50-50, right? It's going to be like 50% happy and 50% hard. And it's unrealistic to expect that every December magically will always be the happy time of year. So just know that even if it looks like everyone's so happy, like 50% of the people around you are also having a hard time. And maybe that's not showing up on their social media feed, but they are, and you're not alone. And you can feel however you're feeling, and just make lots of space and care for yourself and how you're feeling during this time. All right, my last tip, number 7, is to give back. So during this time, it is a great time to like give away those outgrown toys that you went through. Find worthy organizations, and if you can, maybe volunteer with your kids. Maybe a quality time is to do something where you're giving back with your kids or donating to a worthy organization. Like my kids, they get allowance every week, and I have them put aside money every week to give away. And we just went shopping a couple days ago, and they got to use their giveaway money to buy toys for kids for Toys for Tots. And it was just a special shopping trip. We bought nothing for ourselves. We were only shopping for these kids. And it was like very like good quality time for us, and like a good kind of like lesson for them. And they found so much joy in buying toys to give away. And so this is a great time of year for that. And especially if you're feeling kind of stuck in that comparison and not enough in that perfection, countering that with gratitude is really powerful. So in general, gratitude is so good for our mental health, for our kids' mental health. And so the more we can build in these opportunities to give back and be thankful and be content with what we do have, the better you're going to feel and the happier you're going to be. And so my favorite gratitude practice, something that I do, I try to do it every day. I don't do it every day, but I try, is, and what I would encourage you to do is every day write down 5 things that happened in the last 24 hours that brought you joy. And so it's not just 5 things you're thankful for, like my house, my kids. Like I want you to get more specific with like a memory that when you think about it, it makes you smile. And write down 5 of those memories. And it has to be paper to pen, old school, right? Write down 5 things. And at first, it might be hard to think of 5 things that brought you joy because your brain, especially if your brain's more trained to look for what's missing or what you don't have. So, but constantly doing it and doing it every day or most days will retrain your brain to find those moments of joy. Even if nothing actually changes in your life, you'll find more joy in the life you're living. And that can be so, so, so powerful. All right, so those are my 7 tips of how to yell less and smile more during the holiday season. And so I am going to answer your questions, but first I wanted to tell you a little bit about my parent coaching services. And that is the end of my slideshow, so I'm gonna get rid of that. All right. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a parent coach. I say I'm the parent coach that helps parents yell less and smile more. That's kind of how I came up with the name of this webinar. But all parents are doing the best we can with the tools that we have. But often the tools that we have are just kind of whatever tools our parents had and taught us. And often our parents didn't have that many tools. So you might be finding that the tools that you have aren't working with your kids, or maybe with one kid specifically. And I want you to know that you're not alone. And that does not mean that you're a bad parent or that your child is bad or like broken. All it means is that the tools you currently have aren't the right tools for that child. And that's okay. As the adult, you can choose to go out and find and learn the tools that will work for your kids and for your family. So as a parenting coach, that's what I help my clients do. I've already read all the books. I've worked with hundreds of families, so I am an expert in your kids' behavior, and I can tell you what is going to work for your child and for you as a parent. So you don't have to keep Googling, parenting articles or trying to find the magic right book or the right podcast. You don't have to keep trying all the things and then feeling just like nothing works and nothing is ever going to work. You don't have to stay up at night beating yourself up and feeling like you're a bad parent because the tools that you have aren't working. So I help my clients know exactly the best way to respond to whatever their child is doing so that way they can stay calm and confident no matter what behavior challenges their kid has up their sleeve. So I help my clients stay calm. So we work on maybe what their triggers are. Why do they yell? Why do they feel so overwhelmed or stressed out? We do it in a totally judgment-free way. But then we learn and practice more helpful thoughts and habits so that you can use those strategies in the moment. I help my clients learn to monitor that battery level we were talking about earlier, and then to make self-care a habit so they are better able to be that better version of themselves more of the time. I also help my clients break those generational patterns of yelling and dysfunction so that it stops with you. You don't keep passing it on to your kids. My clients give their kids this priceless gift of generational health. They can pass on and on and on and on instead of just continuing to yell because your mom yelled because her mom yelled. So during the holidays, what I'm working on with my clients is how to avoid those 3 mistakes and practice the 7 habits that I just talked about. So it's easy for me to give you this information and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But then when you comes to actually doing it, or maybe someone holding you accountable to doing it, that's a whole next level. And that's often the level that we need to make real change. So my clients are creating realistic expectations of themselves and their partners and their kids. So that way they can really enjoy the time they have with their family for this holiday season. I'm working with my clients that are people pleasers and have a hard time saying no, so that they can create their first budget. I'm helping them, know what their values and priorities are so they can say no to all the things that don't fix that. And I'm bugging them about their self-care routines and helping them make that a priority, even when all the other distractions in their life tell them to ignore that. I'm helping some of my clients process some of their grief and loneliness, and I'm walking them through how to help them support their kids, maybe work with some family losses and process those losses. Helping my clients create healthy boundaries with troublesome family members so that the holiday is no longer ruined by that family member's drama. My clients will have a great plan for how to handle any and all challenging behaviors with their kids in all situations, with family members and at holiday events. They know exactly what to do. So if you are interested in coaching with me, let's set up a free consultation, okay? It's totally free. It's a 90-minute Zoom call, and I will do an exercise with you where we're going to discover exactly what's going on. I'll figure out the problem. I'll come up with a plan that's going to work. It will actually work, right? We're going to talk about what it might look like to work together if it's a good fit for both of us. And either way, you're going to leave the call feeling more at peace, feeling more, having a better understanding of what the actual problem is, and feeling more hope that things can get better, because they can. So my clients say just this one consult call is totally transformational. So if you would like to book that consultation, just let me know in the Q&A. And after this webinar is over, I will reach out to you. I'm just going to say, hey, what are good days and times for you for this 90-minute call? You tell me, I'll make it work. And then we will get that booked. So if you are ready to kind of make some of these changes, the holiday time is a great time to do that. And let me know in the Q&A if you are ready to book that call. All right. So now I'm going to talk about answer some of the questions. We just have a couple minutes, but feel free to add more and I can stay on a little bit if you want to. Okay. So let me give me a second. All right. So someone shared, thank you so much for sharing, that sometimes, especially if a personality is more introverted or your partner's personality is more introverted, social events can be really stressful and very overwhelming. Some of us as parents have like sensory issues and it's really loud. And so a great thing to notice is in advance, and it sounds like this husband was able to do that and say, hey, that is triggering for me. How can we communicate this in advance, which is a huge win for your family. So that is really awesome that he thought that, and you can kind of come up with that system. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when we talk about being proactive is, yes, what are the triggers? What makes it hard? How can we ease some of those, address each one of those triggers? And then, yeah, what are your triggers that you can talk to your partner about, or you can work out yourself so you have a plan for all the different things that come up. So I love that. Your husband sounds awesome. But yeah, it is a hard season for introverts. It can be a hard season for introverts, especially. I'm very extroverted and my husband is very introverted, and seems like that's how it always goes. We kind of always marry the opposite. So one of us is dragging the other one to all the things. But yeah, if you are introverted and you do feel overwhelmed, like that is valid. You don't have to just go to everything and be miserable, right? There are ways that you can work out a plan of having better boundaries, of not overscheduling yourself, of picking the most important things so that you can really enjoy that and be in the social situations that are meaningful to you. And sometimes for the partner, like someone like me, maybe it's, I just need to decide that I can go to things without him if he needs time to rest. And I can be in a place where I'm like, oh, that's just loving for him as he needs to rest. I need to go. And neither one of us is right or wrong. And so working on that kind of relational stuff can be really helpful during the season, especially with kind of opposite personalities or viewpoints of what is fun and how much of that fun we want to have. So thank you for sharing that. All right. Is there anything else anyone has any questions about? Feel free to throw that in the Q&A. If you have not already booked a consult with me and you are interested in just scheduling that Zoom call, let me know in the Q&A and I will follow up with you. And I would love to talk to you more individually. That those calls are so fun. I love getting to know you guys. And yeah, I am very thankful that you are all here. Thank you for your time. Thanks for just making this a priority to invest in yourself and your parenting. And I wish you guys all a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah and Happy Kwanzaa and all the holidays that we are celebrating. Thank you so, so much. And yeah, have a good holiday season. All right. Bye, everyone.